So back in April of this year, the second Deadpool and Wolverine trailer dropped, and I had some controversial takes for sure. I thought the film looked underwhelming, it didn't look visually striking to me, and I was wary of a variant Wolverine being our main Wolverine for this story. And now that I've seen the movie twice now, all I gotta say is, shit, I was wrong. This movie had no goddamn right being as great as it was. And yes, Mr. Reynolds, the second time I watched it, I made sure to bring my special sock. I honestly walked out of this movie believing the MCU has finally been saved. I gotcha, bitch. I definitely did not think that. But I did walk out in relief to have an MCU project that wasn't only exceptional, but actually felt like a breath of fresh air. Now, I'm a hardcore fan of comics and the MCU as a whole, but I've been skipping projects left and right after the whole She-Hulk debacle. The Marvels, skipped. Secret Invasion, honestly I keep forgetting that was a thing, and oh yeah, I skipped that hoe. Guardians 3, I loved. Thank you, Mr. Gunn, for sticking the landing on that one. Now, please don't fuck up Soups. I have faith in you. Thank you. But after watching and loving Deadpool and Wolverine, I still don't have a renewed look going forward for the MCU. Brave New World's trailer looks like reshoots and CGI of the movie. Thunderbolt seems uninteresting, Blade might never happen, Fantastic Four seems promising but more concerning than anything, setting it in a different universe, Daredevil Born Again has been plagued with issues since the start, and yay, the Russos are back to direct the next 2 Avengers films! I know I said the Russos coming back in a sarcastic manner, but I'm actually very excited for that in all honesty. But before I get carried away in tangents upon tangents, let's get back on track here. Deadpool and Wolverine outdid my expectations on what I thought this movie would achieve quality-wise, and oh yeah, it exceeded what I thought would be possible with their cameos, which there's no better place to start talking about this movie than with that aspect. Now that we've had a go around with our fair share of multiverse movies, I think this film did a way better job at incorporating the cameos into the story. They felt necessary and earned. It made sense in the context of the story and paid honor to what has come before, and to be honest, these aren't really cameos. These were minor supporting roles. For the most part, they contributed to the narrative and most of all, the themes of the movie. Which the entire film itself is an allegory for not only the Fox and Disney merger, but the ideas of corporations making decisions on what is considered important and what is considered dispensable, and how the people who get affected by these decisions don't matter to them. At the very start of the movie, Mr. Paradox tells Deadpool that the pencil pushers upstairs don't care about what's happening. And you can easily interpret these corporations the movie is symbolizing as the movie studios that call all the shots and don't care about what happens to the creatives who are putting their careers on the line to service a story, the fans, an audience, and of course, the studio themselves. And how if things go wrong, the studio can easily blame the creatives and prune them via blacklisting them. And I wonder if Ryan Reynolds had any experience with these issues himself. Yeah, some pretty deep-ass shit for a Deadpool movie, so fuck everyone that says this movie is only dumb fun. And I think the Deadpool movies as a whole have always had strong emotional backbones, and this one isn't any different. And if anything, this movie has the most universally relatable theme. That of wanting to matter, to not let our mistakes define us, to allow us to become a greater version of ourselves. Now, I think a lot of people have misunderstood what Wade's arc is in this film. It goes beyond him not getting into the Avengers in a different universe than his. The way I see it is this is a character who has been rejected his whole life. And this moment in particular was extremely significant. That's why we see it, and that's why Wade keeps thinking about it. It's not that that's the only reason that he went into a crisis, it just happened to be his final straw. The movie does allude that he did try to join the X-Men, but they rejected him, and his X-Force team, well, it didn't work out. And in fear of being rejected again, and this time by the person he loves the most, he chooses to step away so the pain doesn't hurt more. And it's obviously a mistake, but the character is always a wildly emotional person. And once again, this shit is deep as fuck. And Wolverine in this movie was something else. And like I said earlier, I was extremely scared in how they decided to handle the character going into this movie. But by the time the third act started and Madonna's music was swelling, I felt myself completely swept up in his journey and was shocked at the amount of emotional depth not only that the two characters got, but what the movie was able to pull off as a whole. Because beyond the incredible action and direction from Levy, beyond the hilarious and outrageous comedy, beyond the thrilling cameos, This movie had some surprisingly rich themes and character moments that most people can relate to. And by the time the credits rolled, all I could think about is how Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool were these underdogs. A movie the studio had no intention of ever touching, but yet with the help from the fans, the movie got greenlit. But then the studio gave them basically nothing of a budget, but it got made nonetheless through constant love and care. And everyone always talks about how it became the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, which is a ginormous accomplishment. But something that is never brought up is the fact that Deadpool actually became the highest grossing X-Men universe film. And almost 10 years later, that little franchise that was supposedly destined to fail bridged the gap between the two most important eras of Marvel film history. And along the way, not only reminded us how important those creative teams were, but also reminded us that sometimes we have to stop, take a breath, even in the face of everything going wrong around us. And remember that even if we feel like we don't matter to the world as a whole, we have created our very own worlds through the people we love, and we matter to them. Thus, we matter to the only world that matters.